Senator Thune, thanks for the time.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Brad.
The healthcare question.
Right.
People are leaving. It's not dealt with. How does it get fixed?
Well, I think the Democrats are going to have to come to the table and realize that a straight extension of Obamacare subsidies is not a sustainable future for the American people. You know, the Democrats talk about affordability. The least affordable thing that the American people have on their, in front of them today is the cost of health care. Because if you're buying your insurance in the Obamacare exchange, since its inception, a little over a decade ago, premiums have gone up 221%.
Here's what you said last time we talked, end of September.
The premium tax credit issue is something we're willing to have a conversation about, but the fact of the matter is it is rife with waste, fraud, and abuse. It needs reforms.
But you're willing to work on this issue in particular?
Yeah, I mean, part of this is the base Obamacare program is not going to be affected. What's going to be affected is the enhancements that the Democrats added when they had the majorities. So we're willing to have that conversation, but you got to do that. You can't do that in the context of a hostage-taking situation.
Did they win the hostage-taking situation as far as the politics here? Because there's a lot of people that are going to see their health care premiums skyrocket.
Yeah, and in that marketplace, which represents about 7% of the American people who get their insurance through the Obamacare exchanges, particularly those that are above the 400% poverty level, which is where the Biden COVID bonuses kicked in. Yeah, they're seeing some increase. Now, there are other things they can do. They can shift around to different markets. But the fact of the matter is we're open to fixing and addressing this, but you got to do it in a way, Bret, that actually solves the problem and lowers costs. If you stay on this path right now with all the waste, fraud, and abuse, the same thing is true today that I said last September, and that is that there are no income caps, there are $0 premiums, there are literally millions of people in the exchange who don't even know they're covered because the payments go directly from the federal government to the insurance companies. And so people are they're auto-enrolled by the insurance companies, and there's no accountability in this program. And the Government Accountability Office just did an audit of this program, and of the 20 fake claims they submitted, 19 of them got approved. That's a 95% failure rate. So it's got to be reformed, and we're open to that. And if the Democrats want to work with us, we won't get it done before the Christmas holiday, but when we come back in January, there are discussions that are going on right now. We have folks who are interested in fixing it.
But you have these 4 Republicans in the House that voted with Democrats to have this vote to extend for 3 years. You're fully against that.
Right. I mean, they will send over to us if they are successful with this discharge petition. It'll come to the Senate. It'll be a straight 3-year extension of an unsustainable, unaffordable program. So, yes, it'll have to be reformed. And there are Senate Democrats who believe that it has to be reformed. And one of the issues behind this, too, is whether or not these policies are going to cover abortion. And that's something that's really important to our senators.
You talked about the percentage. You're still talking about 22 million people that will be affected here. That's a lot of constituents and a lot of races that you're going to be facing in 26. You look at the headlines. Obamacare expiration will have death spiral effect on U.S. health care. ACA shoppers face sticker shock. Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. Americans are starting to panic. Our polls concern about price of health care, 86%. Yes. I know you say you want to fix it, and there are bipartisan plans to try to do that, but you got to get across the finish line.
We do, but just to be clear, because 400% poverty and under, which for a family of 4 in this country is $128,000, that's the base Obamacare program. That stays in place. It's above that, and they took the income caps off. So now you got people making $500,000, $600,000 a year that are getting subsidies from the taxpayers to cover their insurance costs. That's the universe that's affected. And that's about 1.6 million people. So there are 1.6 million of the 24 million people who are actually going to see significant increases if they stay in that market. If they move around and find insurance other places, that can change. You can move to a bronze plan instead of a silver plan. There are lots of options that are available. But I'm one who believes that we ought to do everything we can to drive healthcare costs down. We did vote on a bill in the Senate last week that, according to the Congressional Budget Office, would reduce health insurance premiums by about double digits, 10 to 11%. And the Democrats block voted against it.
Do you think that maybe the only way you're going to solve this is to put this health care into a reconciliation package that's filibuster-proof?
That's a possibility. Obviously, that's an option that is available. Ideally, it would be nice if we could solve this in a bipartisan way. I think that's in everybody's best interest. But we'll see. I mean, if not, then obviously we do have a reconciliation option available to us.
This comes amid the affordability debate, which Democrats are clearly signaling is going to be their issue in 26, at least right now. The president keeps saying that prices are going down and down. Do you think that rhetoric is the right rhetoric now until Americans really feel it?
And I think they will feel it. And I think the president, what he's reflecting on is how we got here. And he inherited this mess, the Biden administration, with all the spending that they did, trillions and trillions of dollars of spending, which flooded our economy with more dollars, which drove inflation up. But he is committed, and so are we, to fixing it. And I think those steps that we took last summer, you're going to start to see that, and the American people are going to start to feel that. When you start seeing the impact of what we did on taxes and regulations and energy, and you're already seeing the cost of gasoline going down, you're going to see that in other areas. And there was a report that came out today.
It'll kick in.
It'll kick in. It will. And I think that inflation, which in the month of October was down 2.7%, or down to 2.7%, I should say, came down from what was expected. You're starting to see that already. But I also think you're going to see more growth in the economy because of the policy changes that we made. And when the economy is growing and expanding, it's throwing off better paying jobs. People are doing better. And I think what we're going to see in 2026 is safer streets. You're going to see more money in people's pockets, and you're going to see new opportunities to get ahead for the American people.
Different people look at polls differently. It's a snapshot in time, but you look at polls now, they're singing from the same sheet of music on the condition of the economy. It's upside down. 28% say excellent or good, 72% say poor or fair. That's not a great environment to go into a midterm.
Right, and you can't convince people of something they don't feel, which is why I think eventually they're going to start feeling this. But we also have to get out and talk about what we've done. And the things that we did in the Family Tax Cuts Act that was passed earlier this year they're really unprecedented and historic. You think about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, reducing taxes for seniors on Social Security, locking in lower rates, the doubling of the child tax credit, near doubling of the standard deduction. I think you're going to see a remarkable 2026. I mean, we're excited about the prospects for the economy, and you look at the things we did and the other things in the one big beautiful bill, the school choice, child care tax credits, the newborn tax credits, or these accounts that are going to be created for people in this country. These are all pro-family initiatives that we think are going to start to yield big dividends.
So when you look at those polls, you say to those constituents, hold on?
Well, I think, yes. I mean, obviously it takes a bit of patience. These things take, there's a lag always when you move major legislation, consequential legislation like this for the American people to start to feel it. But one of the reasons we moved so quickly to do it was so that they would start experiencing it sooner. And so as you get into an election year, we're coming into an even-numbered year in 2026, I think a lot of those things that we did, the policy changes that we made, are going to start to come to fruition, and you're going to see the impact of that on the pocketbooks of the American people. They're going to start feeling it. That's my prediction.
Look at the U.S. naval assets in the Caribbean right now. It's massive. We are still taking out, as a country, these Venezuelan drug boats. And there's pushback here on Capitol Hill from some Republicans, a lot of Democrats. Where are you on this policy, and do you think we are going to go to war in Venezuela?
Well, I think that what the president and his team have mapped out is a strategy to shut down the drug trade. And these cartels, which are designated terrorist organizations, the president has authority as commander-in-chief to go after these folks. They are killing literally tens of thousands of people in this country every year. And it's high time we did something about it. The things that the president has done are having the desired effect. You're starting to see the number of these this activity. They're going to have to shift modes to get things into this country because they have, for all intents and purposes, have been shut down. And that's the desired effect. It's getting these poisonous drugs out of this country and keep them from killing literally every year tens of thousands of Americans.
You don't think this is about oil? It's about drugs? I
think it's about drugs. And obviously there's energy component in everything in this day and age. But obviously this isn't a regime that is corrupt. And frankly, the best thing the people of Venezuela could do is elect themselves a new leader, and they've tried, but it's a corrupt system.
Do you think Maduro takes the golden parachute and gets out somehow?
Well, it seems to me if I were him, that would make sense. I would not want to have the President of the United States or the might of the U.S. military staring me in the face. And I think that's where he is right now.
On Ukraine, President Zelensky is saying he would like the U.S. to move from mediation talks to pressuring Moscow. Do you agree?
You know, I do share that view. I'm very sympathetic to the president, his team, to Secretary Rubio, Secretary Hegseth, and others who are on the front lines of a lot of these discussions and negotiations. But I think anything that we can put in the president's toolbox that gives him additional leverage in dealing with the Russians is a good thing. And there are a couple of bills that have been hanging around up here for a while. One on Russia sanctions. It's a bill that Lindsey Graham and others have put out. It's got like 85 co-sponsors in the Senate, Democrat and Republican. As soon as the president and his team feel like that's a useful tool for them, we're anxious to move on it. But I just think you want to have as many tools as you can at your disposal when you're dealing with leaders like Vladimir Putin, who understands nothing but strength. You have to project strength, and I think the peace through strength approach the president's taken all around the world is paying huge dividends, and the jury is still out in Russia and Ukraine. But I'm hopeful there that his approach to this is going to be something that ultimately gets us to a peaceful outcome.
A couple of quick ones. The president signing this executive order easing restrictions on marijuana for research gets some pushback in some corners of the Republican caucus. Where are you?
Yeah, well, I'm not a fan of recreational marijuana. I think it is a gateway. I think it has some really bad effects, particularly on young people in this country. I think what the president's doing here is trying to expand the possibility for medicinal use and research, and there's particular applications, I think, when it comes to our veteran population that he's trying to address. But I think that he recognizes, just like many of us do, that's where it ought to be confined. And I think just opening up the gates to marijuana use across this country, in my view, would be a huge mistake.
The Kennedy Center board voted today to rename the Kennedy Center the Trump Kennedy Center. Is that going to fly up here?
I just heard about it, and so obviously we are just starting to process that announcement. They've asked me, aren't you on that board? And I'm like, well, I'm a non-voting. I'm an honorary member. I'm not a voting member of that board. So yeah, we'll take a look at it for sure and see where that goes. But obviously the president is heavily invested in trying to make some of these monuments around Washington, D.C., make this a better place to live and to work and to raise your families. And I think we've seen the effects of that, the results of that when it comes to the safety on our streets here in Washington, D.C. Now, I don't live here. I live in South Dakota, right, but I do work here. And I feel a lot more confident, as I think most people who work and move around here do, since the president's taken the steps that have tried to secure our streets.
But the pushback,
Sure.
I mean, it's not just Democrats. There'll be some Republicans that say these are historic monuments that need to be named this thing that they were named.
Right.
Otherwise, we're going to go back and forth, president to president, changing names of monuments.
Yeah, and we'll look at, because it's such a new announcement, I'm not familiar with the process of how this is done. There's a question of whether or not it's in law, is it statutory, do we have to change the law to do these sorts of things? And I'm sure we'll get all the answers to that in due time.
Senator Thune, we appreciate the time.
Good to be with you. Thanks, Bret.
Thank you very much.
You bet.